Marker 1. Marker 2. 3-hour test. Do not watch. Extreme. Marker 3. Marker 4. Okay. What this is I'm running into an issue where the thing is going to run out of memory. It's running out of RAM, not memory. It's got plenty of memory. But because I'm using basically a repurposed gaming PC from like 2012, it's got a whole bunch of goodies in it. It's got like liquid cooling. It's been upgraded and such. But it only has like 15 gigabytes of RAM. And what I'm finding is I have all these running off scripts, etc. I have all these running off scripts. It's all locally done, locally edited. Everything's good kind of deal. And then it's from there, it's being sent through the pipeline, being backed up, being sent to the a different offsite server kind of deal. And everything's good. The problem is, around 15, I only have 15 gigabytes. So around 14.7, the thing is running right into a wall. And even like 14.3, it's running into a wall where it's causing the system to basically shut down. OOS or whatever the heck it is. It's called OOM, there it is. Doing an OOM kill at that point in time. So what this is, once again, please don't watch it unless you want to watch paint dry, because at some point I'm simply going to put this phone down and set it next to a wall and walk away. Maybe I'll watch a video, maybe I'll watch a movie kind of deal, and come back. And what this is this is the extreme case. This is a 3-hour test. I don't ever plan on recording a 3-hour video. At most, maybe an hour and a half if I do something crazy, you know. But when I say 3-hour video, what I mean is a single 3-hour take. So I can have the phone on me at all times. I'll record, and what it does is I start my day. I'll put the phone on my little chest, whatever thingy, and then I'll go walking throughout my day. Let's say the day is 8 hours long. Throughout that day, that phone is recording the entire 8 hours of that day. And what it does is I have a video, and then inside that video, I have takes. Okay? And I'm simply using audio, and it's reading all that entire time. Okay? So, once again, I don't ever plan on doing a 3-hour video. That's extreme. This is the extreme test. That's why the thing said extreme in the start. It's an extreme test. I don't see ever doing anything this crazy. But what I do see is maybe doing a 40-minute video, doing a couple 5s, doing a couple 10s. Usually 98% of the time, it's going to be 5-minute videos, 10-minute videos, you know, stuff like that. It's not going to be these crazy, crazy things that I'm running into. That being said, I wanted to test it. I want to make sure that if I do something like that's an hour and 20 minutes, I want it to go through. I don't want this thing crashing like what it's doing right now. I'm running into that issue where I tested it and it crashed. And then I tested it on like a smaller, like 30-minute video. And guess what? It crashed at like 30 minutes. It's running into these issues. So what this is I'm fixing it. I have the pipeline perfect. It's working. It does great with smaller videos. But the longer videos, I'm running into huge issues, and I need to fix those because I want this thing working. Now, can I slow it down? Yes, I've already slowed it down. That's not the problem. It's a simple, not a thing. It's a RAM issue. You know, I can slow down the uploads all day long, and it's not going to matter. It's a RAM issue at this point. So I need to make sure that it works And if it doesn't work, I can play around with how it processes things so that it stays safely within that RAM without being without causing a crash. I need to make it harden. So this is a 3-hour test. We're at 5 minutes into the 3 hours. This is a 3-hour test, folks. Okay? Really not meant to be viewed. Like I'm saying, I'm probably going to set the phone against a wall. I cleared out the phone. It has plenty of memory right now. And I'm just going to let the thing go for 3 hours. And then once I have a 3-hour thing, I'll have a good test to go through and run it. And just run it and see what it does. Do all the crazy tests. This is the worst case scenario of a 3-hour video. I don't see ever doing anything crazy like that. And if I do, I simply won't put it in this system. I'll do it completely. I'll do it 100% raw. You know, I simply won't put it in this system. I'll do it 100% raw, and I don't even know what 3 hours like. Maybe watching a live event of a space shuttle, and I don't even know I wouldn't do that live streaming. If I did do that, I don't know why I'd put that. I can't think of a situation where it would be over 3 hours. Kind of deal. So this is the extreme 3-hour test. This is actually 2x of what I ever plan on doing. You know, in any situation I'll ever see going over an hour and a half, even if I'm showing like pulling a full engine in one take, which I probably wouldn't do. But if I was showing like pulling a full engine or whatever, tearing a whole front clip off a car in one take, you know, that's, you know, kind of deal. Honestly, I'd probably do, you know, we're going to do this part for 15 minutes. Then, you know, it's like, I'll catch you guys in the next one, redo the title, redo the thing, and then make it a second take. Once again, I can be wearing this thing for like up to 8 hours a day doing my normal workflow. And right now I ain't getting nothing done because I'm fixing this thing. But whatever has to be done. It's good in the long run. I know it. Kind of deal. And I have days off because it's the holiday right now. I might as well hunker down and get all this done. Even though I really should be doing my taxes right now. I'm like 98% of the way on my taxes. I just got to go through and finalize all the end of the year stuff, and also finalize some home stuff and finalize some insurance stuff, letting everything know what's going on there. I have something made just for that, but that's not this. So I don't want the two things running at once kind of deal. But what I do want is I want this system hardened so that there's no question about how good it works, what the issues possibly are, what the issues could be kind of deal. I want everything perfect. And yes, I'm sorry you guys are looking at my feet. Sorry. I just realized that. I got my feet up. I'm relaxed here. I'm just talking to the camera. Me, myself, and I here kind of deal. How about this? I show you a screen and move that out of the way. Once again, this isn't meant to be viewed. This is just me testing this in extreme case. It's one of those deals where, you know, somebody, maybe they make a game and they test it on like a Windows 7 system, you know, to see how it does on a Windows 7 system. Something like that. You know, what will it run on? Well, they say it'll run on Windows 7, but it really won't, you know, kind of deal. Because good chance that's going to fry something if you try running it on that, you know, or you really should be running on something else kind of deal. And you really should be running something better, you know, kind of deal than that. But extreme case, will it work on this? You know, that's what I'm doing here. That's what this is. This is a 3-hour video. Do not freak out. Plus, it would let me know the kind of the worst case upload time too. So I'm going to take 3 hours actually recording this, and I could have simulated it. I could have easily simulated it. All right. But that might have not proven anything. It might have actually created errors in proving that. It might have thrown things up and all that. And yes. So what I'm doing is, here you go. I'm doing a 3-hour session. And then after the 3-hour session, I'm doing a multi-take, heavy multi-take. Here we are. We're going to do one 30-minute after this, one 90-minute take. If this succeeds, mind you, this has to go through and work, and we need to figure out everything after that. After that, Yeah, one 90-minute take, 3 30-minute takes, and 6 10-minute takes. Because that is more of a realistic day. You know, and even 90 minutes is pretty dang extreme. But let's say 45 minutes, 3 30-minutes, and 6 10-minutes, plenty realistic. Plenty realistic. What I'm showing you this, by the way, if you can't read it. That's plenty realistic. Once again, test 2, optional later. Realistic heavy day. And like, that's one of those deals. But that's all within a single video. That's all within like 8 hours. I would do these little things. And like I'm saying, everything is audio based. So Whisper needs to pick up the Whisper or the other transcription. I don't even know. I'm 98% sure it's still Whisper at this point. Needs to pick up all those things throughout that entire video. So it needs to search through that entire video and find all those stuff. Once it finds it, then it needs to go through and it does editing based off Whisper commands. And it's simple. I can't say the command. I'm not going to screw this up by saying the command. But it goes off. Here's my dang cheat sheet. There we are. It goes off these commands right here. And yeah, I simply say these commands. I already said those first commands there. I'm not doing that. I mean, I could, but it really would actually hurt this because it would reduce the video time if I did those because it would be showing it at 4 speed. So I can't just set this thing down and let it go at that because it would reduce the actual, what you guys are seeing if you're watching this, what the viewer would see time. So it's in practice, this is a good idea, but not for this test. This test has to be a 3-hour run. You know? It's simple as that. So, yeah. And yeah, here we are. Talk about what I'm doing. This thing gets me. You know, I'm basically doing this stuff naturally. Look at me shake this camera around while I hold it. Would you like stabilization? And all that stuff. That's another reason why I'm using a cell phone instead of something else, because the cell phone can provide stabilization. It doesn't help when I'm moving the camera up and down about 3 inches, but yeah. So we're not messing around with anything. I'm going to tell the thing I'm doing a 3-hour video after this. I'm not messing around. I'm not. Yeah. So there we are. I decided to give it a 3-hour video test. You know. So yeah, and this was like, I asked it, should I do 3-hour test with short things, and they were like, no, simply do the 3 hours in a one continuous 3-hour take. Do one single 3-hour continuous take, and if that's correct first, then we move on. I'm crazy careful with everything, and I don't want to screw up the pipeline. So this it should, mind you, should go all the way through to YouTube, all the way through. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. I got to record this, and then we got to play around with it a little bit. You know, and then once we play around with it a little bit, we'll send it through and make sure everything goes all the way through, making sure that actually real time running in the system, it's going to go through. Everything's going to work without any issue. Once we know it fully goes all the way through the pipeline with correct edits and so on, all the way through, and I don't see why it wouldn't do correct edits, because it does correct edits on the little 10 minutes videos, but I don't know, maybe something happens and it doesn't like reading after, because it needs to go. These ones are easy. I already done the first ones here. All right, and I told you I'm not doing time lapse, but that last one needs to happen at the end there. It needs to happen at the end. So it needs to read everything I'm saying here. Needs to be transcribed and ran through. Once it gets through all that stuff, it's looking for that. And the only videos that count are, they have to have that first one there. Hey, you, focus. And that one there. If it doesn't have this, or if I say this, and then say it a second time, it'll restart the video. That's by design. Because if I screw up, I simply say this again. I simply say this first one again. And it basically disregards everything from the first one, the old first one, to the new first one. That's my way of doing a new take. Easily. I don't have to stop anything. I don't have to hit any buttons. I simply say this again, and I can say this again. Now that does record everything. So if I made it all the way to even after number 6 here, and then I said that number again, it would disregard everything back again to that number. And that's, once again, that's by design. That way, if I do screw up or whatever, even if it's, 90% of the way through the take, it's going to be good starting a new take. Now that would obviously suck, because I'd have to redo things that I don't want to redo. The whole point of this is to show the workflow. And obviously, if I'm showing things like tearing a hood off of a car, I don't want to have to put the hood back on to do a video, in which, if it happens, I'm probably not going to do any of that. I'm probably just going to say, yeah, I messed up on there. Here we are, the hood's off. I messed up on that last one, something that screwed up. I'm not going to do that, but if we're talking about something that's easily repeatable, or if I go through, and most likely what I'm going to screw up is the title. Because these right here, from the start to the stop, that's what you see in this video as the title. It records what I say from here to there, and that becomes the title. It transcribes those words. That becomes the title. That's why you're going to see a couple titles that are lowercase and stuff like that. I'm not fixing it. It's more raw, but it gives you the raw thing, gives you a raw title. But if I screw up, so if I start saying this, the start there, and I throw an or an and or whatever, something stupid, I simply go through and redo it. Simple as that. I simply go through and redo the thing. I don't have to play around with worrying about it. And like I'm saying, usually once I get past the first ones here, I'm good to go. And I will probably throw the thumbnail. I can put the thumbnail anywhere. That's by design also. So if I go through and I'm making a video and I know I want the thumbnail halfway through the video, be like, this is a good place to put the thumbnail. Halfway through the video, I can put it there. I can put it at the very end, although that's not a good idea, because that needs to transcribe all the way through. But I can put it anyway. 98% of the time, it's going in the very start. Because the video, what the viewer sees, the viewer doesn't see those first ones right there. That's where it starts recording. And then that is actually muted. All these things, don't say the word, all these things are muted to the viewer. And actually, that last one here, it stops at a half a second before the viewer sees that. By design. This is all by design. But, like I'm saying, it's working perfect. Up to 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then I'm running into these issues. Or I was running, oh my God, I was running a crazy FPS. It was trying to throw it up in like 5 minutes. I was trying to throw up like a 30-minute video, and I was running into FPS issues. So what I've been doing the last couple hours is lowering the FPS, playing around with that, but it's still not a perfect fix. It still has issues with videos that are 30 minutes and larger. So I need to, especially on multi-takes. With multi-takes, it's taking like a 3-hour video, and it's trying to pull, let's say, several like hour and a half videos out of that, and or like several half an hour, I'm trying not to say any numbers here, any half an hour things out of that kind of deal. And what it's running into is all those are trying to process at the same time, which are exceeding the thing on its own. So that right there, I had to tell it, don't process them one at a time also, because it was trying to process everything at once, copy everything at once, do everything at once. And then sure enough, the system was running out of RAM, kind of deal. So what I'm doing here is this is a 3-hour take, and I'm making sure to do all this so that it is going to be hardened, and worst case scenario, everything goes through, everything works as it should, nothing happens in the thing. Here we are. 3-hour right there. It's absolute worst case. It's a worst case. The longest interrupted filter graph, which, like I'm saying, I was having issues. Audio processing window, which is why I'm still talking, mind you, because I do want it to look at all this transcription, because real life, if I do record it and talk the whole time, I'll probably lose my voice, but, something like that. And it doesn't have to just be me talking. You can be moving around the shop, tools banging, air impacts going, who knows, stuff like that, real life stuff, and yeah, real life without resets. Nothing resets here. It's the issue of, anything can happen in this. And I want to make sure everything can happen. Like I'm saying, it's just me doing this. But what I want to do is I want to get as much as I can. I actually do want to talk as much as I can on this. But I don't want YouTube potentially kicking it out because I simply show it recording a video. Or recording a, like a TV show. Or something like that. Actually, that's probably not a bad idea. Maybe I could record some live TV. Because I'm deleting it anyway. Something like that. I don't know. It needs audio for 3 hours. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. Or over 3 hours. Like I'm saying, I could potentially take a break and let it go and have a huge gap in there. Maybe it won't have an issue with that. It shouldn't, because it basically goes off frames. What it's doing is it's looking at the frame. Is there audio within the frame? If there's audio within the frame, spoken audio. If there's spoken audio within the frame, it's transcribing it, and then it's looking for those markers, those things within that frame. Shouldn't have said that. Hopefully it doesn't screw this 3-hour thing up. But it's looking for that within that thing. And which if it does screw it up, all it's going to do is, I'm 22 minutes in this. Why the hell did you turn on the flashlight? If it does screw it up, it's going to, I didn't know I could do that in video. I thought the flashlight was turned off during the video. Whatever. What it's going to do is be able to, look at the entire video. That's what it's looking for. It's looking at the entire transcription and going through and running all that. And now I've done a test saying the word while I'm actually in the video. And now we're testing that. So, we are running through all this kind of deal. Once again, this is not meant to be viewed. I'm already losing my voice. This is not meant to be viewed kind of deal. We're going to sit you down. Taking a sip. It's not meant to be viewed, not meant to be messed with. Simply a long form video. And what I'm doing here is I'm playing around with this. Making everything good kind of deal. I would probably do my taxes and then jump over to there and come back while I'm doing this thing. And maybe I'll talk to you guys, or if anybody's watching this. Hopefully nobody is. Not intentional to be watched. And then I need to run it through kind of deal. Make sure nothing kicks out the gate. Usually these things happen about 15 minutes in. They happen 15 to 20 minutes in. It simply tries to do too much too fast, and it burns itself out. And then it does a full restart, and then I got to play around with all that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to keep as much as I can inside of chat, so that when that happens, I can go back into chat and open that up as a browser and say, okay, it's screwed up at this point. And then we can go through and try it again, and potentially it crashes again. And then I can go through and say, okay, now it's screwed up at this point. And then we move forward a little bit further, and so on, so on, and so on, until we get it all the way through. And then we're going to probably test it again to make sure it goes through. Now, that's going to suck because we're talking slower than normal, and I'm potentially talking a 3-hour video that's going to take 6 hours to upload. And yes, in case you're wondering about dropout in that 6 hours, I planned on that too. And I can also test for that too, because nothing ever drops mid-upload. Kind of deal. I'm going to test all that too, of all that working. Now, YouTube on itself does actually kind of figure for that. It simply just slows the thing if the upload slows. I've driven through warehouses where the thing was uploaded, but I have also had it where that can cause glitches on its own, where now the video is unusable because it needs to be re-uploaded because of a glitch. And in this system, I have it so that once it uploads, it doesn't re-upload again. To produce 2 takes, to produce 2 of the same video, you know, and drop 2 of them in there back to back potentially, kind of deal. And then, you know, I get 40 or I got 3 or 4 takes of a single video because something happened during the upload process. It seen there was a fault. It said, "Oh, that one's messed up," and it redid it again. So after I did that a few times, that was like a week or so ago, I was running into that. I told it, you know, check it, make sure it goes all the way through. Once it goes all the way through, then you can only send 1. Well, if I have an upload error like I'm talking here, let's set you up here. If I have an upload error during that time, it will potentially cause it to glitch that video. Now the system here is going to see, yeah, it went all the way through to YouTube, kind of deal. But on YouTube, it might do something like have bad audio, have noticeable glitches in the... I've had it happen a couple times when I simply record a video and I jump in the car and I hit upload, because I'm driving for like, let's say 20 or 30 minutes, I might as well use that time. But the thing is it'll be switching between it'll drop it at my home after like 3 miles from the house. It'll drop that signal, and then it will try to find a tower. It'll find a tower, and then it will be uploading at that point, and then maybe it hits another tower, you know, on the way there, kind of deal. So now you have 3 points of 3 points that got hit, 3 potential spots of dropping, and sometimes that video will get corrupted. And I need to make sure that over, like I'm saying, 6 hours of uploading, that doesn't have an issue. Now, this is simple, drop it on the PC and walk away. That's what this is. This will never be me jumping from one tower or one point of whatever you want to call it to another. This is simply me dropping it on into a folder that is an import folder designed exactly to take whatever it sees. I drop in there. It then takes that single file, splits it into as many takes as it needs, or it takes that single file, takes that single file, makes a copy over in a separate offsite server so that in case something does happen during editing, it has that backup copy. It then, once I have the copy to the thing, I can basically unmount the phone and walk away and let it do its thing. After it's fully copied into that folder, it then makes a copy to the offsite server. It then takes the folder, reviews everything, every little spoken word inside that thing, makes a full transcription off that, makes another file that does things like the images and such for your thumbnails, and then it makes 2 little transcription files here. I'll show it to you on here if I have one. I think I deleted them all because I'm at the point where I don't want anything possibly corrupting here. Where Mark, not terminal, not App Center, files. There we are, files. So we go to others. That's why I'm doing wrong. Other locations. Here we are. And we go to Mark. Mount first, then Mark. Then we go to import videos. Mark import videos. Okay. So I have a couple videos here currently. And as you can see, I've made 2 tests. I will probably purge these out before the end of this video, so that there's no possible issues. But what I have here is I have these 2 that went all the way up, and see, you can see this is, let's call it 523. So I have a 523 cues here, and I have a 523 transcription. So the cues are exactly what I gave you guys. It's looking for these, and it has that JSON file for that, and then it has the entire transcription in this JSON file, and it uses all 3 of these to make a single take. Actually, I take it back. It uses all 3 of these to make multi-takes. This is a single video. I don't actually see all the takes. I don't actually see all the things in here. It's actually showing me, because that would take up a whole bunch if I did that. But it's actually just showing me these, and the takes are within those JSON files. So this is actually 2 drops. Right here, I dropped a video, and right here, I dropped a video, and then I walked away. It made the copy, and then it made these things. And like I'm saying, if it's like a 10-minute video, it does these within like the first 5 minutes. Before it does any editing, it's simply looking at all these stuff and finding that, and then it's good to go. After that, the real work begins, where it's taking all that stuff, and in case you're wondering, there you are. It's taking all that stuff, and it's throwing it all up, kind of deal, into doing all the editing. Once all the editing's done, the pathway is real easy. It's as simple as uploading it on your phone. The PC's simply doing it with scripts. Nothing's actually being edited. All I'm doing is I'm cutting here. All I'm doing is I'm cutting here. All that these do is that starts it. That does, like I'm saying, the spoken title in there. That simply takes a screenshot at that time marker. Dang it, I said it again. And it does all that kind of stuff. So we are really testing this video now. Now I've said it twice. Kind of deal. So it does all of that. Yeah, I don't think that would mess up. It does all that, and that would test it out, kind of deal. But yeah, it's looking for these numbers. It's looking for these numbers here, kind of deal. I gotta set that down. I'm gonna end up saying the right thing, and then it's going to interpret it wrong. But yeah, I gotta be a little bit careful with saying those things, and that's why I went from this list, this early list, to that list. And this is the same thing as those. But this is the older list, kind of deal. And that caused issues because trying to record or trying to hit the transcription with all these being perfect, saying these things perfect, and it picking it up even more further, picking it up perfect was just not working. Because you'd get like a split in the line, and it would get like half the command, and then it would miss the command. Well, if it misses the command, that doesn't complete the video. It doesn't complete the take. I gotta keep calling them takes. That doesn't complete the take. So that thing doesn't get uploaded because it wasn't completed. The only things that count are completed between that first part and that last part. That's the only thing that counts by design. Kind of ran myself into a corner there, but it's a safer way to do it so that I don't get half done stuff going all the way to YouTube, and I don't get issues with stuff like that. Simple as that. I don't have an issue. I don't have things going through and causing whatever, kind of deal. What I have is I have this working do the thing. As long as I say those things, it works perfect. And it does. I even got it down to it's hitting the thumbnail perfect on the mark. Exactly when I say it. It's not. It's doing less bleed through. So there is potential for bleed through here. What I got it is I got it a half a second before and a half a second after. It's muting, so the person's not hearing. So the viewer's not hearing anything like that. And it's it's good, like between that fifth part and that sixth part right there, that is fully muted. So the commands are all the commands are fully muted. Like I'm saying, the video doesn't even start until that third part, because there's no point. There's no point in showing you guys that. It would just be a huge muted area, kind of deal. And that says video start. That should be take start. Because, like I'm saying, the video can be like 5 or 6 hours of me wearing the thing while doing all the thing. And I trust you. Trust me. I'm more willing than ever to actually get to work and record these things with the unit done. Because whatever. But I really can't do any of this work remotely. I have to do it sitting at the PC. And trust me, I'm way past wanting to get back into the barn and get back to work and actually be doing all these video things. But every single time, I think I got it 99.9%, I run into an issue like this current RAM issue. Whatever, I'll fix it. I'll make it good. I'll get it done. I'm going heads down to the grindstone. I'm getting these things done. Like I'm saying, if all I did at this point was record short 15-minute videos, the system would work. It's the one that goes over 15 minutes where it doesn't work. I think it's working, and it doesn't work. Heck, now, at this point, we're at 36 minutes, and I've done nothing but ramble, talking about this thing to myself. Me, myself, and I, all up in this room. Kind of deal. Just rambling on about this process, because I'm just trying to kill time. But, yeah. So, and I want the transcription to be as full as possible of me potentially just talking and talking and talking and talking. Seriously, it's the worst case scenario of me just talking through this thing and running down this thing and so on and all that, so forth. And yada 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 kind of deal. And I want the transcription to pick up on everything. Check everything, do everything. I want the transcription to be a massive file, as full as possible. Absolute worst case scenario. That's the point. I'm putting pauses in here intentionally. That's the point. I want it to actually go through and do a worst case scenario. And then if it passes the absolute worst case, or if I can get it to pass the absolute worst case where it's going all the way through, and I said the cues a couple times, I said partial cues a couple times, and I said a couple weird things, so, the camera around, move that around. We're going to do some lighting things if that matters at all. And, we're going to do some lighting things. I'm going to give you some lighting changes here. Move the thing around, change the orientation. Maybe I don't know, trip and fall. There we are. We just changed orientation kind of deal. Crazy, massive test. Worst case scenario, it actually goes through. Please don't watch this. It's going to be boring. That's the point. It's going to be a boring video. It's not meant to be viewed. If you're seeing it, if you've seen it up to this point, great if you enjoy the process. Great if you enjoy what I'm doing and want to learn how to do this stuff and the hurdles that have come up and so on. Great. It's gonna get boring here pretty soon because I'm simply gonna set the phone next to a wall because I really have been talking. And apparently I probably could talk for hours because we're at 40 minutes and oh my god. Yeah, so we're running through everything and just testing everything and putting this through the paces. Throwing this thing as hard as I can against the wall, driving the thing at 200 miles an hour when it's only meant to be going 70, or it's only meant to be going 90 miles an hour kind of deal. Pushing everything through the thing. We're running the engine at 7,000 RPM for a month straight. That's what I'm doing here. We're testing longevity, testing how robust this is, testing reliability to make sure it works in the worst case scenario. And if it works in the worst case scenario, it should easily handle stuff. Now, what I expect when I first upload this is it's going to die at 15 minutes. It's going to run out of, it's actually, probably out the gate, it's going to die in like within 5 minutes. And then I'll make some tweaks, and then it'll die within 15 minutes. And I'll make some more tweaks, and it'll die within an hour. And then I'll make some more tweaks, and probably maybe one more after that. And then it'll survive the entire 3 hours. And then I'm going to test it with all these things that I was talking about. The network dropping, the internet dropping, the like potential issue with the system going to sleep, which it really shouldn't do. It's these right here. It's about to go to sleep. So I'm going to show you that. So I haven't done anything. I haven't touched anything. Because I haven't touched anything, I had the system set up so that if I'm not doing anything, which I haven't been doing for several minutes here, after roughly 10 minutes, the system simply goes to sleep. Now, this is a TV because it's cheaper. It's a cheap monitor. So I have a TV here. And how this should work is I drop my file. I'm not going to touch the thing because I want it to actually show you going to sleep. I drop the file and I walk away. And when I walk away, I simply hit this and shuts off the TV. So the monitor's not running for, let's go 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, or whenever the heck I come back, kind of deal. Because this is in a separate room that I'm not going to visit often. It's nice and cool down here. It's in the basement. It's nice and cool down here. So I'm going to let this thing run and go and so on. But that's how it should be, is I just drop it, shut off the TV, and walk away. And the computer's still running. So to keep this from using unnecessary thing, it actually goes into a sleep state where it's using minimum power. And when I come back, I simply hit the keyboard, hit that space bar, simply hit the space bar once or twice, and it wakes the system back up. And obviously, I still need to turn the TV on to make all that work, because it doesn't automatically detect it. And that's by design. I didn't want it to have the thing automatically turn on or turn off. Sure, I could have done that, but then I'd have to give it access to the TV, potentially hook the TV up to the thing. Right now, it doesn't know. It doesn't. It knows there's a monitor there. It has an idea what the thing is so that it can make sounds and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't know. So potentially this is still having a process run in the background. That's why it hasn't gone to sleep yet. Or it's just waiting. It's just warning me maybe 5 minutes before it does shut off. Or maybe I did bump the mouse here. And if I bump the mouse, obviously it's not going to go to sleep. Because like I'm saying, it's meant for me to be out of the room kind of deal. So this is a fun little test of that. Because it should go to sleep. But whatever. We're playing around with all this. We're getting all this figured out. But yeah, it should be going to sleep. And when it goes to sleep, then it's in a low power state. Actually, you'll hear the fans lower down there. Actually, you hear the fans if you can hear the fans. Oh, PlayStation sitting on top of there. And a Nintendo sitting on top of there. But you can hear the fans. And when it shuts off, you'll potentially hear the fans shut off. It's not a loud system. It's not loud fans. Kind of deal. You guys can easily hear me talking here. Maybe I turned off suspend. That's a possibility too. Somewhere along the lines I turned off suspend. No big deal. Because like I'm saying, it does that. But maybe I got something running right now. I potentially do. In this chat, I might have turned on suspend, but I'll turn that back on later. But it's a deal where I'm testing everything out kind of deal, running everything through, and making everything good. Should have suspended by now. Maybe it has suspended, and it's just showing me that message. Well, yeah, like I'm saying, I can shut off the TV. If you get a red screen when I come back, that stays on a red screen, it means the system went off. And if it comes back to a normal one, you're going to get like a little glitch here. There you go. You get a short one because it needs to find the signal, and then it found the signal. And like I'm saying, you just hit the keyboard a couple times and it comes back kind of deal. I'm sorry, you guys don't need to see my... I had some rice earlier for breakfast. But yeah. And yeah, I mean, You just run through, you do all this kind of fun stuff, and it works. It works great, you know? I don't know why this isn't suspending. I probably did turn off suspend temporarily, and it's just giving me that message. I have a whole bunch of logic behind suspend, and I'm pretty sure I've turned off suspend so it wouldn't cut the pipeline, because at one point, the suspend was cutting the pipeline to, like I'm saying, it makes a file and then it sends a file to an offsite server. At points in time, it was taking that and causing it to not send the file, because the root would be what is it? I don't know. It was being cut somehow. The actual connection to the root was being cut, but then I fixed that and then tested it again. But we're actually doing work right here. Something is running in the background. That's why it isn't suspended. Isn't suspending. When everything's off, when everything is shut down, when the terminal's closed, I'm pretty sure I have something running inside of the terminal right now. When the terminal's closed, it should suspend. I'm thinking if I have anything running right now. I don't want to mess with it. I'm just going to let it run. But there's no need for the terminal to even be open once everything is perfect and working. There's no need to be the reason for the terminal to be open. The only thing that needs to be open is this file. I don't even think it has to be open. It just has to be like running, but leaving it open, like I'm saying, the system's meant to be ran 24/7, and it's just going to go into sleep mode. But leaving this folder open is going to make that good. Actually, I'm going to ask chat right now if I can delete those videos. Set you down. Take a screenshot. Oh, try it again. Okay, go over to here. Go to open up a new folder. New window. Give me screenshots. Give me pictures. Give me screenshots. Let's ask it if I should delete these videos. Okay, we're going to check if they're being processed before I delete them. Shouldn't be, because they're several hours old. And we're just going to paste that. And if let's try not to paste it in chat. I got to paste it in bash. Paste that. Check this, and I'm going to tell it back. That's all I'm doing here. So what I'm doing, right, and actually show you my little workflow as I run through this. If it even, that's good enough. So I'm going to run this through and actually show you how I got to go through and remove these videos. I'm going to as well, kind of deal. So we're going to, what I'm doing basically is I tell it I want to do something. It goes through and it tells me the bash commands, and then I copy paste the bash commands, and I go through here and I paste it back. And it's going to read that and then give me further advice. Here we are. Great. Thank you. Yep. Live checks. Yada, yada, yada. Status confirmed. There is a process running. Actively. So nothing's active in the mark. Yada, yada. Like I'm saying, I'm just trying to talk here as much as possible so that it comes up. Good. Good. I can delete them. And I can do that with a simple bash command. Go here, go there, droppy, here, and paste. Hit it. I'm saying that's 90% what goes through. And if I peek at the folder now, folder is empty. Good. Just do a quick verification, make sure nothing is running. Total 0. Beautiful. Okay, so we're good right there. Yep, once the folder's clean, everything's good. I can drop my 3-hour test in. Once it finishes, still have easily 2 hours to go. Yeah, we're running through. So we're getting all that. good. That's good. This is as possible to extreme case. Yep. Talking continuously equals worst case transcription. Yep. Long continuous speech. I'm just going to read this. Natural pauses and overlaps is also horrible. Repeated mentions of, I'm not saying it again, without clean numeric words. I'm not saying it unless I already said it twice. I'm not saying that command again. Anyway, this stresses the ASR deal and the transcription memory usage. That's a big one. That might be why it's running into it. It's because I'm actually talking too much. I know, I talk away, folks. I talk away. Yeah, and like it's saying, it's strictly harder than normal content. That's the point. Once again, extreme case, that's what I'm after here. Mentioning marker like, ooh, I said it again. Phrases, that's why it's going through kind of deal. You tricky SOB, you made me say it. So it's going through there. This test false positive resistance, which I need to make sure that it doesn't have an error with that. Yeah, as long as I don't say a clean thing, and that's what the issue. So it shouldn't be a problem. Like I'm saying, it likes when I pause 2 seconds before saying the things and pauses 2 seconds after. That way there's no question that that's what I'm trying to do, is hit that on that point. I'm mentally saying, don't say that word in the back of my head as I'm saying that, And there we are, screen activity. Yep, so, it's saying to move things around, like I'm saying, a whole bunch of moving around. Ooh, look, an alarm. I have so many alarms throughout the day. And we're moving things around kind of deal. Here we are. Screen process and process expectations, increases visual complexity, motion, and, something for the encoder here. Bit rate, variability. That's what's important. I need it to be able to do all these things. And once again, worst case, that's what I'm after. I want this thing to crash. I want it to crash. I want it to crash. I want it to crash again. I want it to crash again. I want it to crash again. Kind of deal. Yeah. And yes, like it's saying right here, I don't need to worry about it right now. If this does screw up, it right there, what not to worry about. I'm not worried about all that. It doesn't matter. What I'm after is a survivability test. I need to make sure this goes through. And if it doesn't actually go all the way through to YouTube, it's not an issue. Because what I'm going to do here is I'm pushing the RAM. I'm pushing the RAM to the limit of finding, yep, that was too far. You know, 7,000 RPM for 30 days straight was too much. It only made it to day 15. Okay, let's see what it does at 6,000 RPM. Well, at 6,000 RPM, it made it to day 28. Well, then how can we make it to 30? Well, what if we put the limit at 5,700? Okay, 5,700, 30 days straight, not letting up at all, survived it. That's what I'm at. That's the kind of test I'm playing around with right now. Try not to hard power cycle. What's this? One thing to avoid in the last 2 hours. We're moving into the last 2 hours. We're at 55 minutes right now. Try not to hard power cycle the camera or phone mid-recording. Oh no, we got plenty of battery. What are you saying? Let me go into that. I'm going to ask it what it's asking here. What are you asking? I'm not going to try typing. We're in setback now. I'm going to hit that frickin' button. Okay. To avoid at 2 hours. And I tell you what, let's do a bash test. I need to find things to bash. To make sounds. Hey, look. Go through and bashy bash. I'm making sounds. I'm having a little bit of fun. Alright, good enough. There's my little bash test. See if transcription picks that up, mind you. Alright, what do we got? Things to avoid after 2 hours, important. Do not hard kill or hard power cycle the recording device. Oh, I get you. Pulling the battery without a clean shutdown. Okay, here, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you this. Blur motion, hard transitions, pushing the audio, or pushing the visual. Okay, here we are. Enough of that crap. Okay, pulling the battery without a clean shutdown. Oh, yeah, I get you. Force closing the camera app. Okay. Device crash reboot. Okay. Yanking, storing mid-right. Okay. Testing file recovery, which is a different problem. Okay, I understand that. Let me ask it about battery, though. Let me see if it's actually an issue if I plug in battery, though. I'm not going to do it. This thing fully charged before I started this, for that reason. Taking non-stop or going quiet. Yeah, whatever. I've said that already a couple times. Done that. Screen movement, window switching, scrolling. Yep, good. That was the whole point. Locking, unlocking the screen as long as the recording continues. We're going to do that on the next phone. But yeah. CPU spikes on the recording device. Yep, good chance we're going to have that a couple times. Long static sessions. Okay. And I do need to have the screen off. Right now it's on. But I don't know if it's going to be an issue with battery. Usually this current phone after like 2 hours. So I'm going to ask that right now about having the battery plugged in and the cord being unplugged mid-recording. Because right now I'm just holding it kind of deal. Oh, please tell me that it didn't stop the video. That's my worst fear at this point. I just touched the screen. So, yeah, if I stop the video, I need to redo an entire hour again. So I need to be a little bit careful there. Okay, let's ask about introducing And it's running off whatever battery. And huh. I forgot to plug in the battery, and I'm making sure I can plug in the battery right now. Okay, so you guys aren't moving at all any at this point. I'm going to move the phone one more time, take a little sip of my soda here. Don't freak out, I do drink soda. And dismiss. And plug in the thing and then set you guys back up against the phone. But yeah. Low battery shutdown will corrupt the file. Nice to know. Alright, come here. You had 30% charge on 40,000 milliamps. I'm going to show you guys my brick in a second here before I plug this brick in. This is my brick. Highly recommended. It's been dropped. It's been hit. It's had some damage. The thing's a dang beast. See how much abuse it's had? This thing's like almost 2 years old. And it's just a beast, baby. And it goes through, has a digital display and all that kind of stuff. But it's a beast, as you can tell. It has had a hard life. It's been dropped. It's been scratched. It's been damaged. It's been cold, the hot, etc. And you can see it. Oh my God, look at that. A little debris or some crap on the front of it. But it just keeps going through. And it's just a beast. And I'm going to buy another one here. Business expense. But right now I'm using my current one. But buy one of these. Romos or whatever the heck it is. Absolute beast. I'm buying another one. You know. So we're going to plug the phone in right now. Because I don't even know where we got power-wise. I need the blue port. Pluggy. And I have a no-name, whatever, cheapy cord here. But whatever, that's going to give me the thing. And I'm just going to set you guys up. And like I'm saying, single power cycle. Exact situation that I'm facing. I forgot to plug the phone in. Plug you in. And yes, I was at 68%. So I do not believe there was any way I was going to make it to a full 3 hours of recording. The screen's on too. I don't have it on this phone with the screen auto dims after such and such or whatever. But on the actual dedicated phone, I'll set you right there. Actual dedicate, I'm not going to bump you. On the actual dedicated phone, it's going to, yeah, be all good there. Yeah, so we're good. And we're still recording. Yep, and we had the thingy. Yep, so we're going to let this all run through. And like I'm saying, I'm just keeping going through. Okay, I'm going to tell it that I did that. And I'm getting also some other sounds here. I'll give you a couple more sounds. If this goes to YouTube, I would love to see it be like tapping sounds. Whatever. There we are. So I'm trying to give you as much as I can without actually playing around. I'm not moving the phone at this point. I was going to like go outside and hit it with some wind and whatever. You know, this is a good enough test. I'm not going nuts with this. Kind of deal. Okay, phone's plugged in. Oh, I got to move you. Okay. Ah! Brother done ran off on me. What's I going to say here? Okay, plugged in. And charging. Oh, recording. Good. Okay. Alright, I really can't do my tax stuff because now you guys are viewing the window here. I'll do this later. If I could finish all this up and get this hardened today as today's mission, I'll be happy. And then I can do the tax stuff tomorrow over the weekend. Not a huge deal. I just want it done, and then I don't have to think about it. Kind of deal. I just want it done. And once it's done, I still have to wait on my stinking mortgage company, and I still have to wait on my workplace to send. Actually, I think the workplace does it digitally. Anyway, I still got to wait till the 15th at a minimum to get all this stuff ran through and handed to me, and yada yada yada. But I still want it done this weekend, at the latest next weekend of the year here. So like the 5th or like maybe the 10th, I would like to have my taxes all done, all finished. And now I'm like 95% of the way there. I just need to run it through with all the things, make sure everything's all figured out, making sure. And I already have, I built an agent. Where is she? Where's my agent? Candy, the CPA advisor. It's not a tax, yada yada. I have an actual CPA. But what this GTP is for, Candy, the CPA advisor, because find me a CPA that's named Candy. Candy, the CPA advisor, is for having fun. It's for asking the stupid questions. That it gives me tax law. It gives me the examples that the IRS is going to use. But kind of deal. So it gives me so if I did all the looking up myself, this is what I would find. But it's for those stupid questions. It's for the questions of, let's see. Let's think here. Is this a supply? Is this supplies or is this automotive? Something like that. A lot of things are actually supplies that I didn't think they were supplies. Stuff like that. If it's a consumable, it's a supply for the most part. Ask your CPA. Maybe you make a GTP CPA like I did. We are going to come and jump off. I'm going to ask Katie several different questions. Okay, here we are. She uses meticulous U.S. small business tax assistant for a sole proprietor, me, using cash plus. Oh God. 471 C non-inventory method. It's a me. Classifies transactions, reconciles ledgers, flipwise in the bank. It does all that. And I need to do all that still a little bit. I need to finalize it and give it all the information for the year, have it look over all that information, and then pretty much double check and triple check and be like a little Santa Claus for me. Making sure that I'm not on anybody's naughty list and I didn't double dip. It's a high possibility that I would have double dipped some items. It could have happened. You see the thing here, you enter it here, 4 months go by, you enter it a second time, and now you double dipped. And Candy looks over all that, and she makes sure I didn't double dip any of these things in my ledgers, kind of deal. Review screenshots, that's how she's doing that. She's reviewing screenshots, so nothing's actually written down. It's an image, which will be deleted later, kind of deal. Prevents double counting, like I just said. And estimates several Schedule C impacts. Guides not replaces professional judgment. Yeah, GTP's never going to let you, or any of these things, are never going to tell you this is 100% correct. This is exactly what you got to do. You're still going to need a CPA to do it. That being said, if I can give me, why is this supplies instead of being an automotive thing? Why is this, let me remove the automotive. Why is this supplies instead of being an office expense as far as category? Why is this supplies instead of office expense? I bought what did I buy? I bought tools for the shop to tear apart these motorcycles specifically. And that's a supplies. Because it's supplies. It's not an office expense, believe it or not. The other things, let me throw this out here. I'm going to tell her about my camera. Okay. I bought a camera S23 Plus on the 1st of the year. That does not connect any network. I labeled that under supplies. It is simply being used solely as a camera to make videos that will be dropped onto Mark marketing PC and then sent to YouTube to and then sent to YouTube and sent to YouTube to encourage offsite use with the store link in the video description to drive traffic. I typed, so deal with it. And yes, so there's that. I talk slow, but I talk fast. Or I type slow, but I talk fast. In the future! I don't think I'm going to have to type much. I always said that too. And I actually can type fast if I keep my head down, but I'm lazy. And I've been in a couple accidents and my hands aren't that great anymore. I'll be honest with you. You know, so I do simply type with like 3 fingers kind of deal most of the time, not 5. So that's why you're hearing it being like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, I'll say views with the, I have this labeled, this down, and supplies. Is this correct? Or should it be in another category? Boom. And she's gonna go through the thing and tell me, let's classify it conservatively. Educational, no, yeah, I know you're not, yada. No, supplies is not the best category. Used solely as a camera. This should generally be treated as a capital X. No. Hold on. I know what you're saying, girl. I know what you're saying, but okay. If it's under $2,500, I learned this from this program. It can be single expense. If it's over $2,500, then it does have to be split up. So I need to tell it that. That's why you go with these things. Has a useful life of 1 year. Of over more than 1 year. It's not consumed, even though it has no certain iris looks at function useful life. Not okay. Yeah. No. What I'm doing is had a individual cost of let's go, I think it was like 400, let's go $470. So it should be a single 100% expense. Now on the code. Why is it not supplies? Give a reasoning. Yep, at $470, it's 100% business use. Expense at 100% the year you started using it, which I'll be doing in 2026. 100%. Small equipment. There you go. See, this is why I have this thing. Because I would have put it under supplies, and it would have been misclassified. I don't think the IRS cares. I don't think they care about the classifications that much. They're obviously going to see it, know where it should be classified, see supplies, and be like, okay, whatever. But yeah, other equipment, small equipment. And I'm not going to fix that right now, but I'll fix it later when I'm not recording this video. Otherwise, I would have fixed that right now. But yeah, why it's not supplies. The IRS distinction isn't cheap versus expensive, and mainly what it is and how long it lasts. Supplies are typically consumed or used up. Yep, I'm going to read that. The phone is used as a camera as functionally equipment. Okay, see, it makes this reasoning good. Useful life is more than a year? Yeah, okay, probably, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I don't crush it in a year. Expected now, that doesn't change for what it is, even if you deduct it at full. Yeah, it's still equipment that you like to do expense, not supplies. Category correctly helps. Keep books consistent. Avoid audit confusion. Prevent actual double dips later. There we are. Replacing supplies versus asset tracking and making depreciation 179 safe harbor support cleaner. You know, it's giving me actual things. What do I do in your system? Category, other expenses, small equipment, camera / phone. Good. Audit note, 120 characters. And it even tells me what to say so that it looks at this later, which is going to look at it next year. And here we are. If your software forces Schedule 70C, put it under line 27A, other small equipment, or put it under line 13, depreciation with expenses, your bookkeeping style. Make sure it's true 100%. Yeah. It's not. No, it's not. It's 100% business. It's 100% business phone. It's only turned on. It's staying on the chest mount 100% of the time. And I'm simply going to take off the chest mount and drop it next to this PC and plug it in. And then I'm going to put on the chest mount. And the phone's never been removed from that. Simple as that. And I can basically delete it off the plug-in here. And yeah, perfect. Everything should be perfect. So that's all going to work there. Oh, no, I'm using a CPA. A CPA to file. And I'm giving her FIPLA information as well as 1040 next few days. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yep. All right. I need to reclassify that in the thing to not be supplies. Like I'm saying, I'm claiming it as supplies out the gate. That was more of a placeholder, mind you. But it really is. I need to make sure that is other expenses, small equipment kind of deal. Because, yeah, that's what it is. Now, once again, basically, you can claim anything. I'm going to ask this and have it give me examples. Okay, doing a video talking about you currently. Not freaking you out, Barrow, but I'm talking about you. And then, okay, here what I got here. Okay, doing a video talking about you currently. Give me an example and codes, tax codes, throw tax in there. Give me examples and tax codes of the example of the $2,500 rule and where it would not apply even if it was under $2,500. And she's going to kick it out. And we're going to learn something. Okay, $2,500 rule. De minimis state safe harbor. Explained clearly. Why people call it the $2,500 rule, like I call it the $2,500 rule, is a de minimis, I can never say that word, safe harbor election found in, Treasury registration 1.263A-1. It allows businesses to expense certain capital assets instead of depreciating them, if specific conditions are met. What it actually allows, if you qualify, you may expense tangible property. That would normally be a capital asset. That costs $2,500 or less per item per invoice. That's a big one. You got to remember that point, because I thought it was only $2,500 total. But it's not. It's $2,500 per item per invoice. Big deal. Instead of depreciating it over several years, it allows to expense it. But that is still considered equipment. Oh, it's talking about the phone again. Sometimes it can never forget about stuff. But it's still considered equipment, not supplies. It's sticking on it. It's not letting me get away with anything like that. Requirements. This is where people mess up. Under Treasury requirement or whatever registration 1.263A-1, A-1F, 1. Okay, whatever. All this must be true. You must have a policy format that says we expense items under $2,500. This guy does. Sole proprietors are allowed to have a simple informal policy. Yes. The item must be tangible property. Examples: cameras, phone, computers, tools, furniture. Remember I said tools, furniture. Yes. Not inventory, not land, not buildings. Yep. The item must be used in the business, obviously. If it is personal or mixed, it must be allowed for, But really, I've crossed that line. Everything is personal or business. There's nothing mixed. Except for my vehicles. My vehicles are a little bit mixed, but I'm playing around with that. Here we are. The item must separately stated. If one invoice lists camera for $1,800 and lens for $1,900, each may qualify as a, good example. Good example, GTP. They must be separately stated, once again. So if you have a invoice, if one invoice lists camera $1,800, lens $1,900, each may qualify. Okay? Nice little trick. But if the invoice says camera package $2,700, it doesn't apply. You're over the $2,500. So if you want to do this, split them up. Kind of deal. And I'm sure there is an exception, and they're pretty smart on that kind of deal. Also, you know, but really $2,500 is a lot for me to expense, especially on a single item, where this camera package would be a single item. So it's a little bit sketchy. Where we're talking about here, where this $2,500 rule does not apply, even if under $2,500. Okay, inventory, obviously, you can't fully deduct your. Wouldn't that be nice? No, you can't fully deduct your inventory if you buy something to resell. The de minimis rule does not let you expense it as an equipment or supplies, even at $2,500. So here's the thing. I'm going to ask it too. So if I buy this phone, I use it 100% for business use, and then I sell this phone later, maybe, I don't know, maybe or not. It might, because I'm not intentionally buying it to resell. I'm intentionally buying it to use. I'm going to ask about this. And then potentially I'm going to resell it later, obviously, if it's still good. Yeah, so if these are inventory direct, yeah. Items that are actually material supplies, yes, you can't. Those are supplies. You can't actually do those. Packing tape, boxings, bubble wrap, yada yada. Printer ink, god dang. Improvements that must be capitalized. Yep. Even if under $2,500, you cannot expect something if it improves, restores, or adapts. I was going to build a flatbed for my pickup truck, which has my work truck. My work truck. I was going to build a flatbed for it. And I can't do that. I can't do that because in order to, that is a improvement, even if it looks worse than what I started with. It's an improvement over the original design. I can't do that. I want to put a steel roof on my barn. I can't do that because that's an improvement. I can replace the shingles on the barn. When it comes to that, the barn's 100% business use, so I can replace the shingles, but as long as I don't improve it. You can fix it, but you can't improve it. If you improve it, that's no longer deductible. So that's a thing I'm facing in a couple years. That decision of, do I want to only deduct a percentage because it's still a home expense? Do I want to only deduct a percentage of that at like 30%? Or do I want to put shingles back on and be able to deduct potentially 100%? If it's under $2,500, mind you. Yeah. So, yeah, here we are. Permanent improvements tool. Yeah. I'm going to ask about the thing, too, about my roof. Because I've always wanted a steel roof on the barn. It came with shingles, but, yeah, we live in high winds. Assets that are required to be capitalized by law. Example, land. Yep. Startup cost over thresholds. Yep. Property acquired. Yep. We're not doing any of those. Cost alone do not override. Yep. Number 5. No policy in consistent treatment. If a taxpayer expenses some equipment under $2,500 capitalizes other items, has no consistent practice, the IRS can disallow it. Yeah, because you're all over the place. You need to either be in this thing under $2,500 and tell them that's what we're doing, or, yeah, you can't be doing that. Understandable, you know? Yeah, why it's under, yeah. Okay, we already went over why the camera is not supplies. It's actually a item like that. We're going to play around with that. So, no, we're not. Turn this into a short script. I'm talking to you right now. No, you're already past that. Okay, so what I'm doing, let's see where we're at on the video time here. We're at 1 hour and 30 minutes. We're halfway there, folks. Once again, this is a test video, not meant to be watched. If it helps you in any way, great, but it's really not meant to be watched. This is me intentionally rambling for 3 hours so that I can do a video test, a hardened video test of the absolute worst case scenario for this video editing program. So whatever, I'm just talking with taxes. So let's go with this. So my 100% used barn. So if I do the shingles for under $2,500, is that for need to make that clear. So if I do the entire shingles for less than $2,500, it's me doing the labor. That's it's fully whatever. Let's see if I can, how this works with the thing. Great question. All right, there we are. Business barn roof, shingles versus steel, core rule. The $2,500 rule does not override the repair versus improvement rules. Okay, the distinction comes first. Controlling authority theory. Like I was saying, it's going to be tax code. Number 162, ordinary and necessary expenses. It is for repair and use of the thing. 263, capital improvements. And 1.263, repairs versus improvements, the bar test. Ooh, I wonder why it's called the bar test. Scenario A, reshingling the barn roof, same material, same use. Fact, you gave 100% used barn, it is. Existing shingle roof, check. Replaced with shingles, check. You do the labor, check. Materials under $2,500. This is a deductible repair. Why? Under yada yada yada, there's some tax code. And expenses deductible if keeps the property, in normal condition, does not materially increase value, and that's whatever. Does not adapt it to new or different use, check. Does not extend the useful life beyond what it is originally expected. Yes. Replacing worn shingles with similar shingles equals restoration of function, not an upgrade. Good. Deduction of treatment, materials, deductible. Your own labor, not deductible. Whatever. But that keep it under $2,500 rather easily. Category, repairs and maintenance. Yep. Deduct 100% regardless of the $2,500. Ooh, regardless. This deduction is allowed even if it were over the $2,500 rule because it is a repair, not because of safe harbor. Oh, we're going to have to go into that a little bit further. Because it basically says I can do the roof, and if I spend $3,000, it is a, where the bloody hell did the thing go? I lost it. Oh, category, it's repairs and maintenance, which, yes, 100%, I get it. But I want to see where that limit's at. Because I do want to put shingles on. Maybe I want to put trim on also, and do the other things that are cost saving. If the trim is a little worn, maybe I replace the trim. as I'm replacing the shingles kind of deal. If it's not a dealie, then I don't do that. Maybe I skip it and leave the old crappy trim on there. Whatever. Either way, I figure. But that kind of deal. Is fill. Okay, here we are. Scenario B. Upgrading to a steel roof. Now this changes everything. Steel roof equals capital investment. Why? It fails the BAR test. Here we are. This is what BAR means. Betterment, restoration, adaptation. Okay, that's... Why'd you put it that way? It should be betterment, adaptation, restoration. Whatever. Anyway, betterment, steel roof material, improves durability. Adaptation changes the character useful life of the building. It would. And restoration replaces the major structural component. Yep. Exactly why I can't do the flatbed on the pickup. All those reasons. So yeah. Codes. We have codes here. 1.263A-3I. Betterment. 1263A-3K. Restorations. There's your codes. Even if it cost more than 20 or less than $2,500 and I did the labor and it was 100% business use, it must be capitalized, not expensed. The $2,500, I can still get it, but I got to capitalize it. The $2,500 rule does not apply to improvements. Okay. What if the shingle repair goes over $2,500? Like I was saying before. Now your second question. This is where allocation matters. Scenario C. Shingle replacement equals $3,000 and I hired somebody to do it. Still shingles, still repair. Still deductible. But allocation depends on ownership. Case 1. Barn is 100% business property. Check. Not part of the home. It's not attached. I can deduct 100% of the $50,000 category repairs and maintenance. No home use or percentage apply. $2,500 is irrelevant here. Repairs are deductible regardless of cost. Are you still recording? Okay, I gotta peek at this every now and then in chat, folks. We're gonna do a little bit of motion. Get you all there, get the thing going. I gotta make sure the camera doesn't fall asleep on me. Even though, I'm talking to it, it could fall asleep. Most people are fall asleep at this point if they're actually watching this. Case 2. Barn is part of the home property. And use your home... Hold on. I got to go into detail on that. The barn's unattached. My garage is attached. I have a 2-stall garage. That's attached. The 3-stall barn is not attached. I'm going to go into that. So, barn is part of the home property. And this is where people often get it wrong. You get a deduction, but only the business portion code. So, business part of the code. So, that's where it would only be 30-something%. I think it's like 31.4%. Off the top of my head. I got to go into it. I'll know it here in a couple of days because I'll be running it through all kinds of these things, changing it. Oh. Okay, so even if it's at 30%, it's not fully excluded. So what I need to do... Yeah, we did that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go into detail about this to see if it's 30% or 100% when I do these shingles. Either way, it's still deductible. I just got to, like you're saying, it's still deductible, but I got to make sure. So the barn is on my personal property. In the home I live in. But it is not attached to the house use the proper to run my business out of. Give me the shingle at 3,000. Yes, I'm mean to my keyboards. Perfect. So I threw everything at it. Okay, so perfect. Okay, the deductible barns on your personal residential property used to operate your business. Barn is not attached to the house. Check. Barn sits on its personal residential property. Property is mixed use overall. Barn is used exclusively for business. It is. You own the labor, never deductible. Obviously, I wish. Higher labor, deductible. Higher labor is deductible. I don't like handing stuff out to other people, but if it's deductible, that's what I'm going over. Because do I want to do a roof on my own? Seriously, me? I've done it in the past. I've done roofs on my own. This is a simple barn, and it is flat one side, flat the other. One's probably about 40 feet. The other's probably about 60 feet. But it's flat. It's flat and flat. I could do it. I've done barns on my own. Stuff like that. It's not a big deal. You just got to be a little bit safe, mind you, because you're working on your own. But laying down shingles, yeah, I could probably do, let's go with, and all the additional cutting and such, I can probably do 150 square feet an hour by myself, especially if I have a nail gun and that includes prep. Don't be getting down on me. But if I did all the prep and had all the things, and I was cutting the things up top there, I could probably do 150 square feet by myself in an hour kind of deal, and have the roof done in probably a week or two kind of deal. But yeah, anyway. Or I could pay somebody and they could do it all. Kind of deal. Anyway, scenario one, shingles under $2,500. You said, oh, you got $400. Oh, that's for the phone. The phone is for $430. Whatever. I got a little sketchy there. Got confused somewhere. Anyway, same shingles, same material, same roof, same function. Check, check, check. No upgrade. You do the labor. Material under is $2,500. Tech treatment. This is a repair, not an improvement. Authority number 162. Ordinary and necessary. Tax registration 1.263A-3-D. Routine maintenance, repairs, goody goody. Materials deductible, your labor not deductible. Oh, well, allocation required under 280A, math example, yada yada yada. Oh, that sucks. Math example, materials $430, business portion 30%, deduction $129. Okay, so I can only do dang it. Where it goes, Schedule C, repairs and maintenance, only 30% allowed. Damn. Can't get a free roof for free. The $25 rule is irrelevant here, deduction because it's a repair, not because of cost. Damn. Schedule 2. Scenario 2. Schedule over $300,000 with hired labor. So let's say the schedule costs $2,000. Should I hire somebody or should I do it? Here's the situation where I hire somebody. Same shingles, same material, same function, no upgrade, labor hired, total cost $3,000 plus. Tax treatment, still repair even if over $2,500. Cost does not turn repair into an improvement. No, it doesn't. Deduction, materials, all that kind of stuff. Over 280A, like it said, math example 3,200, business portion 30%, deduction $960. Oh, that sucks. It means I can't fully deduct it. Damn. I was kind of hoping I could fully deduct it because it's 100% use. But because it's on my personal property, it's still 30% apparently. That sucks. And see, this is why you ask these stupid questions. Because I would have went into this expecting to get a full refund because I did all that to 100% business use expense. You do not get 100% just because it's a business barn. Threw this in here right after I said it. Because it's on personal property, allocation is mandatory. Oh well, so it's still 30% that I don't have to pay. Or that I get back. Yeah. Scenario 3, steel roof upgrade. Any dollar amount, doesn't matter, it's an improvement. Yada, yada, yada. Just like I said, it's an improvement. Even if I do the labor, it's a capital improvement. Authority 263A, capital expenditures, yada, yada, 162A-3-I-J, and yada, yada, yada. Betterment and restorations. This fails the bar test. Betterment. Something. Now you got an O in there. Betterment, restoration, life expansion. So you lost the A in there somehow, the bar. Anyway, no immediate deduction. You must capitalize the cost. depreciate business portion, depreciate only the business portion. With the barn's 100% business use. Math cost. No. It's 100%. You okay. So, one more zero, please. Let's see here. Okay. The detached barn is on my residential property, but if the barn itself is used 100% business, you can install a $10,000 steel roof. You deduct 30% of the cost, not all in 1 year. That's the distinction. That's what I'm asking about. 30% is deducted over several years. So in your example, the total cost is $10,000. Business use percentage is 30% because it's on my property, even though the barn's 100% used. Turn off the alarm. Even though the barn's 100% used, the property as a whole is only like 31 something percent. The capitalized business expense of that would be 30% of $10,000 is $3,000. That $3,000 is depreciated, just not in 1 year. Why not 1 year, 30% deduction? Two different rules apply and both must be satisfied. Improvement rules. This blocks 1 year expensing. A steel roof is a capital improvement, not a repair. Authority, 263A. And yeah, registration 12263A-3-I-K, yada yada. Because it upgrades materials, shingles to steel, extends useful life, included in the structure, it must be capitalized regardless of the cost. The $2,500 de minimis rule does not apply to improvements at all. Doesn't matter what the value is. Home property rules. This blocks 100%. Because the barn sits on personal residential property, 280A applies. Now, if this was 100% business property, not used by me in any way personally, then yes, you could do this improvement in a single year. Kind of deal. And I haven't done this yet because I haven't been able to even come close to having that. Will it happen in like a year or two from here? Potentially. And I'll be able to do that in a single year and deduct it and lessen my taxes. So it is something that I plan on doing. I just running through the scenario where I do steel versus that potentially, or me doing myself with normal shingles kind of deal. Steel versus shingles versus me doing everything on my own, etc. Because the barn sits on personal residence, even though the barn is detached, the barn is 100% business use. The property as a whole is mixed use. So only the business portion of the improvement is deductible. The personal portion is never deductible. Yeah, I know, I get that. That's only 30% under depreciation. How it actually shows up: capitalizing improvement, assets barn, steel roof improvement cost $10,000. Allocation, business portion, $3,000. Depreciation over recovery. Holy cow! See, that's what I'm trying to do. $2,500 thing when I can't, because here we go. Depreciation over recovery period. Likely 27.5 years. Or 39 years, depending on CPA classification. This classification is a judgment law. Do I want to be doing this in 40 years? No, I'm going to ask it about that next. What happens if I close this business before I potentially only lose the deduction because the business would be closed? But we're going to ask because I don't want to pay anything back. Okay, annual deduction. So yeah, 3,000 divided by, where did you get 20? Oh, 27.5. So it's a massive savings of, so if I spend 10 grand, it needs to be deducted over a minimum of 27 years. Okay, so even though I spent 10 grand, I can absolutely not deduct it all in one go. Kind of deal. The annual deduction is going to be $109. That's it. That's all you get. Well, you can't take 30% off in 1 year, 100% business expense. No, why isn't it? Because, yeah, the 280A limits the amount, 263 controls the timing, and safe harbor rules. You can't upgrade it. That's why you don't want to upgrade these things. You want to leave them as is. If you leave them as is, you can deduct it. But if you do an upgrade, you're pretty screwed. So you got to be careful with upgrades, especially if it's on personal deal. Okay. So, another important question. So yeah, I'm asking, what happens if, it says 27 years, but what happens if I stop the business after 20 years? Plenty realistic, actually. Short answer clear. The deduction simply stops. Yay, I was afraid I'd have to pay it back. You do not have to pay back prior depreciation. Thank goodness, because yes, it probably would. If I do it after like 20 years and I'm claiming like, whatever, let's say 100 and whatever a year, there could potentially be, you got to pay it back now. No recapture trigger just by stopping the business use. Recapture only matters if you later sell the property. I don't ever plan on selling this property. Huh. What does trigger payback? So, oh shoot. So, if I do this, let's put me on a 27-year schedule. I got to play with my tax person every year, and I haven't done any depreciation of anything yet. So I haven't done this yet, which is why I'm asking this now. For as you do depreciation, I've simply used the $2,500 rule. I haven't bought anything over $2,500. Anyway, what it does trigger payback recapture. If I sell the home, if I sell the barn separately, yeah, it ain't gonna happen. If I convert the property into a rental, it's still hell no. Then recapture and reproperty. Even then, only the business portion is relevant. So it's still going to be only 30% I'd have to pay back. Even if I sold the home, if I did the barn this year doing all steel roof, and it cost $10,000, only 30% of that would be recaptured. You know, I have to pay 30 back, kind of deal. Only depreciation taken is considered. Okay, so even then. So let's say I did it this year, sold the house next year, even though I did this, only that like 100 and whatever dollars in that single year would be depreciated. It wouldn't, maybe double that over 2 years, whatever. It wouldn't be anywhere near $10,000. I only want the money back from what I actually claimed, because now I'm actually benefiting from it in a personal way. That makes sense. Cool. It makes sense. I'm happy about that. This is why I ask these stupid questions. That's what this GTP is for. It's for all these stupid questions. And this way, I probably wasted an hour now talking with this GTP, getting tax information, versus somebody who I'm paying for. You know, one of those deals. Or potentially simply wasting their time with stupid questions. With questions that I could easily look up on my own. This is a little bit more complicated. But, you know, questions that I could easily look up on my own, maybe even not find in a YouTube video, those kind of questions. Questions where something changes, the tax law changes, and then you jump to the GTP, and then be like, you know, hey, what changed in this new thing? What changed in this new bill thing? What changed? This got dropped. How does that affect me? You know, and you can ask those stupid questions here, and it has that information. So it can answer you in a very, very simple way that's not going to mess you up. Kind of deal. I do everything here. I want to get the video processor running and the thing running and all that. I don't want to have it keep going, just hearing audio. Kind of deal. But yeah, that makes sense. Final caution: important but not scary. If you sell the home later, depreciation claimed on the is only claimed on the business portion. Regular basis can impact calculations. That's a future problem, not a current one. Screw you, GTP. That's a future problem, not a current one. It's Andrew doing play all the time once the business ends. Okay. That's good. Okay, here we are. Here's a big one. Being an eBay business. I cannot sell a business like I would if it was a brick. This video apparently is just going to be me asking this GTP questions for a couple hours. Whatever, had to come up with a topic, so this works too. And I'm actually learning as we go. Being different topic, being an eBay business, I can't sell the business like I would if it was a brick and mortar store. So different topic. Being in the eBay business, I can't sell the business like I would if it was a brick and mortar store. So if I wanted to close tomorrow with all my inventory in place, not doing this, big capital letters, just a question for 20 years later, what happens to all that and how would that be handled? Good question. Really is, because You never know if you're going to be doing this tomorrow. Maybe I do get screwed up. Something happens, get in a big old car accident, I'm trying to jinx myself and all that. But, you know, here I am. What happens? You're right, you usually can't sell the business the way a brick and mortar store sells goodwill, leases, furnitures. For sole property is the main issue. I'll break this into IRS. Care about what your actual options and how these options take. First, with the IRS. The IRS does not force you to sell inventory. Believe it or not, yeah, they do. They want their money. No, whatever. The IRS does not automatically tax unsold inventory. There is no exit tax, just for stopping business. The IRS cares when the inventory is sold, converted to personal use, or disposed of. Key rule: that controls everything for you. You're using cash method. Yep. And it's deducted at purchase method. Yep, that matters a lot. What this means: you already deducted the cost of the inventory when you bought it. There's no inventory asset sitting on your balance sheet for tax purposes. So the IRS does not expect you to clear inventory on exit. What happens to inventory when you close? 3 real options. 1, you keep all the inventory. I don't want the inventory. I want it sold. Whatever. Personally, most common. Business stops. You keep the remaining items. Items are now personal property. No additional yada yada yada. You already deducted, but there's no resale. Personal use. Conversion is not taxable. Nice to know. So I won't be totally screwed if something does happen. 2, you sell inventory after closing. This is also very common. Business stops. Later you sell items on eBay, garage sales. Yes. Okay. Tax result. 100% of the sale price is taxable income. Because no longer is it being able to be deducted. That becomes 100% personal use and 100% gain. It's worse. It's worse because you can't take cost of goods out because this is understandable. What I did was, if you close the business, that all becomes personal items that you just acquired without paying for them. It's the best way, or you've already paid for them, kind of deal. So yes, all those items, all that inventory comes to you as a zero cost of goods basis, which means when you sell those items in scenario number 2 here, you sell those items, you acquire them for zero cost because the business bought them and gave them to you. So your cost is zero. This makes 100% sense. You paid zero cost because you paid zero cost. Any gain